Peace to the tribe, peace to the collective. This is just a Monday check in, quick reaction video. Of course, if there's any topics or things that y'all want to talk about, feel free to put it in the chat, put it in the comments. I'm your host, the Hood Mystic, here with another video. The title of this video is Break Down the Simulation to Break Through the Simulation. And what that title specifically means is that in order to understand the world we live in, we have to first acknowledge that it is there, understand what it absolutely means, and then have some form of transformation, self actualization, things of that nature. So, on your way in, please go ahead and like like the video on your way in, as I'm just trying to get some information in order. Okay, so just getting into this video, which is going to be centered around a reaction video, and then of course information that I have to support it. But the purpose of this video is to help you just to think about the world that you live in, outside of maybe thinking about yourself, your family, the things that stress you out, the things that bother you, so forth and so on. So, first thing we're going to talk about is the CIA, their recent document. Well, not recent, they just released it recently, and what this actually means. And then we're just going to unpack it in just many different ways.
So Thomas Campbell has been working on experiments to show that we live in a simulation. If you don't know who Thomas Campbell is, you should. You know how the CIA has declassified documents about remote viewing and astral projection?
So I think, and he flies by it, but this was actually written in March 26, 2001. The Stanford Research Institute of California did a study for the CIA on direct perception of remote geographical locations. So, direct perception means that people can perceive of distant geographical locations. So, we're not gonna read through this because it's extremely dense with information. So what I will do is just give you the highlights of the article, and I'll continue on with reacting. So if you're just now watching this video, be sure to like on your way in, subscribe if you haven't, if you're new to the channel, as we are attempting to break down the simulation to break through the simulation. So what are some facts about the CIA document about remote viewing? That over 70 remote sensing experiments were conducted. What did they find out? They found out that remote viewers could describe distant locations accurately. And also, no matter how far away you were, there was no electrical shielding that didn't impact perception. So the hypothesis suggests that extremely low frequency waves might carry sensory information. So let's really think about this. Let's really understand this. This is real deal Holyfield stuff. Nobody is playing around with the CIA and all of these government agencies. They know that you are a spiritual being having a human experience. This is why they have certain artists, certain movies, certain forms of education, certain drugs, certain foods in the community, in the grocery stores. So the CIA's goal was to integrate remote viewing with physical principles and explore quantum interconnectedness. And no matter how far you was away, no matter what you are doing, people can come right into your bedroom. When I used to deal with witches, they used to love coming in and watching me have sex. I'll be like, there go what's the name over there? I just seen her. There is no protection from the spirit. And if we ain't able to wrap our minds around it, then we will not understand the reality for which this matrix is constituted and made out of. It's really no more playing. So let's get back to this video and just breaking down certain different subtle points. And this is something that I'm going to be doing for a while, observing this world for what it truly is, breaking it down, and allowing people to break through. Because if we're able, because, I'm having these thoughts and I'll wake up and get on Instagram and there'll be a video completely detailing my thoughts. So this is why I'm showing this video. Because I had already had all of these thoughts previous to me watching this video. But I'm imagining that Spirit said, watch this video, show this video to the people because it's much more digestible and understandable. And you could just add in how I just interpret it, how I see it. Because as I'm really processing this stuff, it's almost like I've known this ever since I was a child. I used to play this game where if I close my eyes, nobody could see me. I would become invisible as a baby. And so when my eyes was open, people would be like, Kyrie, get upstairs. Because I grew up in the 80s. They were smoking crack downstairs. So they'd be like, Kyrie, get upstairs. We smoking crack. And I'll be trying to get to I had to go through the living room where all the adults was to get to the kitchen so I could get me a plum or a cherry or something like that. I was really into plums as a baby. So in order for me to get a plum, I will close my eyes all the way down the steps, make it all the way through the living room, get to the kitchen, steal a plum, make it all the way back upstairs, and they would just be downstairs just smoking crack, having a good old time. And I'm like, man, this is crazy. But I've always knew that your perception is the only thing that's real. If you're not paying attention to it, then it is not real. If you're not paying attention to it, then it is not real. This is the ritual of a celebrity. Get you to pay attention to something outside of yourself, idolize something outside of yourself, desire something outside of yourself, so you never cultivate this muscle that's strong enough to start to see through the matrix, see through illusion.
Well, the reason why the CIA was looking into that is because of this man, Robert Monroe. Robert Monroe had incredible natural abilities to leave his body, to see things.
So the CIA studies remote viewing because of Bob Monroe. Robert Monroe was an American radio broadcasting executive who became known for his ideas about altered states of consciousness. And mind you, he was a very, very rich man, very successful man that could have just took his money and bought a yacht. However, when 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 you get exposed to spiritual truth, you don't regress. You don't fixate and focus on the material. You go deeper into what is the meaning of life, because it can't be man-made money. So he started working. He created with his money, instead of buying a yacht, he started the Monroe Institute, which was more of like, if y'all know anything about Edgar Casey, he has a research institute in Virginia Beach, right off the beach where the Neptune statue is, where the Neptunes got their name from. Right. Shout out to Virginia Beach, one of the most dopest places on the planet. But anyways, Bob Monroe started the Monroe Institute, and with this, he started to study out of body experiences. In 1971, he put out a book, Journeys Out of the Body, right? And he was the first person to come up with the term, for lack of better words, out of body experience. And he developed the hemisync, right? Which the hemisync has been literally studied by the CIA. And the CIA is really into understanding what the human body is, and how the human body produces itself. Like, if the human body was a machine, how do you turn it on? If the human body was a device, how do you operate it? This is what they're trying to study. This is what they're trying to understand. And when we are in the conscious community, we are spiritual people. What we have to begin to understand is that this is how we activate and utilize our device, through spiritual means, through Kundalini activation, and learning how to relax the body and move the spirit outside of the body. Because this is the true fundamental principle of the universe. So it's some I'm gonna react to this a little bit more, and then I'm going to lay out some movies that talk about this in great detail. For those that's just watching, be sure to like the video. It's very important to the growth of the channel. Let YouTube know that we're actually live. Let people know that they're actually enjoying what they're watching. It'll bring more people in, and I appreciate you. One of the best things you could do for the channel.
Bob Monroe wanted to make sure that, number one, he wasn't crazy, and number two, that his experiences were replicable by a scientific process. One of the genius scientists he hired is Thomas Campbell, and his whole experience working with Robert Monroe is dictated here in this book called My Big Toe, which is probably one of the greatest books ever written about the connection between science, physics, metaphysics, spirituality. So here's the thing, Thomas Campbell has experienced that we live in a holographic reality because he achieved similar states that Robert Monroe was able to, but now he's trying to prove it through experiments. Search this title if you want to read the article. Basically, he wrote this paper in 2017, devising how we would test simulation theory. It's 22 pages long, but let me give you the key concepts. And if you're not following along right now, you need to be, so follow, because we've been doing an entire series on the fact that we might be in a simulated reality. First and foremost, they lay out the premise in the abstract. If reality is a simulation with limited computational resources, then observable phenomena might act like it would in a video game, where
So this is very key. When we are imagining the world in totality, that is an illusion. That's something like you can't ever accomplish. So the genius about the brain and what it perceives is that it can only perceive what it perceives, and it can't perceive outside of its original perception. So you might heighten it with, like, if you was Batman and you had like cell phones of everybody, and you had like global positioning systems and satellites and all of that, might enhance your perception, but still at the same time, you as an individual cannot perceive anything outside of what you're actually perceiving. So anything outside of your perception is a guess. You can't say next door they laughing, having a good time, because you're not there. If they call you, they can tell you we having a good time over here. But even that, you can't see it, right? You can't experience it. When you go from house to house, that's like you creating a whole nother world inside of your brain. So depending on your brain's ability to produce, it might not even allow you to go into many different houses, because that's like if you had a computer with 100 megabytes of RAM and another computer with 1,000 megabytes of RAM, the 1,000 megabytes can do more shit. 100 megabytes can't do a lot of shit. So what I'm saying is, when you can't experience a lot of stuff, it's reference to your hardware. If you decide to want to experience stuff, you got to get an expansion pack. You have to figure out how to expand your ability to program your reality. And it's such a profound thing when you sit and think about how this world is a computer. It don't make sense to us now because we've lived from a naturalist perspective. But all of a sudden, we have these computational codes that's allowing us to have these conversations and allowing us to do things like save our shopping list or do our banking online and do all of this type of stuff in reference to the material world, because the material world is based on computations. If we can program it into a computer, that means it was based on code in the first place, and you're just transferring that code. Google Earth is a thing where they program the Earth in a computer program, and we can look at it and be like, what did it look like in Antarctica or Alaska or something like that? We can go to Alaska on our laptops because the coordinates of Alaska is a result of a computation. The height, the color of a landscape, white is a hexagon code. It's a number. Different shades of white is different numbers. Different heights is different numbers. Shapes is angles, numbers. Everything is matter, and that matter holds a computation to it. Now, I challenge people to study coordinates and program the coordinates in your subconscious mind, as opposed to saying, I want to go somewhere or I want to do it. Just simply program the coordinates and tell your subconscious mind to figure out a way for you to get to these coordinates and see what happens. Because when we are talking about the simulation, I want people to understand we are not talking about nothing far away from spirituality. We're talking about how to simplify and put a number on top of your ability to understand how to do spells and magic. And when I'm reading, give me 1 second, I'm gonna grab a book because I see it. So Peter Carroll has a book called Liber Chaos. And if you read Liber Chaos, at a certain point, it's all mathematics. It's all talking about different formulas and different percentages and different things like that. because everything exists on some form of a spectrum. And if we don't understand the equation, it doesn't mean that the numbers aren't there, right? The thing about the simulation, if you don't pay attention to the simulation, it doesn't stop the simulation from rolling. But at a certain point, I'm speaking to people that's not non-playable characters. I'm talking to people that are actually souls. And the problem with souls is that they try to mimic themselves after non-playable characters. And really, you are the hero that can program your life based upon your spiritual truth. It's not about people validating your experience down here, giving you a certain degree, giving you a certain certificate, giving you a certain pat on the ass, and saying, okay, you're accepted now. That's not what it's about. It's specifically and entirely about learning how to become your authentic self and learning how to do do you at the highest level. And to understand how to do you at the highest level, you have to understand that none of this shit is real. If any of it is real at any level of any point, then you don't understand that it's a simulation. You don't understand that your soul is in another person's body. I'm going to repeat that again. Your soul is in another person's body, and everything that constitutes this body is a mathematical equation, a mathematical function that only renders what you see. And you can, if you allow the non-playable character to run your life, which is your ego, then that person is just trying to be like an animal. An animal have very base desires. An animal want to eat. An animal want to fuck. And an animal don't want to do anything outside of that. An animal does not try to enlighten itself. It doesn't try to read. It doesn't try to expand. It doesn't try to understand the world around it. It is based upon carnal desires and carnal, I wouldn't necessarily say pleasures, but in the human mind, it would come across as pleasures. When you reduce yourself to relating to other people, you are not awoke. You are still asleep. You are still animalistic, very social, very tribal. This world is a complete and utter simulation. It's nothing real about four white boys coming together, writing a constitution, and you abiding by it. You acting like it's some real stuff that you gotta actually listen to and uphold. And in a deeper truth, whatever job you at, whatever school, a nigga started that shit like I got a scam for their asses. I'm going to trick these people and teach them outside of a singularity. I'm going to tell them that me and you is separate. And as long as we continue to think along the lines of us being separate, we will never see the facts of the game that's being played. This is how niggas don't never overcome, because they don't ever overcome righteously. They overcome. So tell me if I'm lying. When y'all get together with spiritual people, it'd be a bunch of women in the spiritual groups. One's in the chat if I'm telling the truth, two in the chat if I'm lying. It don't ever be no men there. Is it that men don't care about spirituality, or the grift is being put down on your ass? Somebody is big pimping, you know what I'm saying, getting that goddamn money on the flow. You know what I'm saying? Pay big mama, you know what I'm saying? Pay big daddy. And at the end of the day, motherfucker just, you know what I'm saying, I'm gonna buy them a new car or some shit. You ain't gonna get one step closer to understanding that this is not a reality. This reality is a false reality. Yesterday on the live, Jabri said, we go to the store and get goldfish crackers. And even though it's called goldfish crackers, you would never get the goldfish cracker and say, God damn it, it's a real live goldfish in my goddamn crackers. This is amazing. It start flopping. That ain't never gonna happen. You know that goldfish cracker is not a real goldfish, even though it's called goldfish. When we are into our voodoo, when we are into our spirituality, we dare not call this shit life in reality. When all of these kids got ADHD, there's goddamn drag queens in the library reading books. It's been fucking 40 some odd presidents, and they all been all white men. All the corporations, all the towns just filled with white people, all the niggas in the ghetto by the train tracks, and we gonna call this reality and we gonna call this life. This is a false reality. And I was talking in the last video and I was referencing a movie and I wasn't that clear, and now I'm clear. I seen the movie. It is Guardians of the Galaxy 3. The High Evolutionary. He creates the counter Earth. And the counter Earth is a perfect Earth. And it looked perfect when you get there. But then when you're driving around in the hood, niggas getting beat up. You know what I'm saying? All types of crazy shit going on. Human trafficking. It's ghettos in every major city. And you gonna call this real life. Just because you working your ass off every single day, you working your goddamn ass off. And then you say that this reality is the only reality when there is a whole entire reality that we are not going to even understand because we don't want to understand the butterfly aspect to humanity. What is the butterfly aspect to humanity? It is seeing the matrix. It is seeing the simulation, breaking down the simulation to break through the simulation. So when it comes to the life that we want to live, we simply program it. We program our life through daily application. One's in the chat, if you ever got a phone and you didn't go to the goddamn app store and download apps. Everybody got a phone, but everybody has got apps on their phone. So basically, the phone without apps is just something that you call and you say, hello, what you doing today? It's just a phone. But now that you got apps, application, it could be something that you make money off of. You know, some girls sell cootie cat off their phone. Some boys sell goddamn different types of drugs on their phone. It's all types of stuff going on the phone through the application. So all types of weird stuff going on the phone. So when you look at your life and you understand the simulation, you got to start looking at yourself as a computer. And the problem with computers, when you cut on your computer, you start using it, what's the problem? You got a full memory, full RAM. You got too many tabs open. You got to do a factory reset. Factory reset is more found into deep meditation, psychedelics, ritual acts, things of that nature, fasting, detoxing. Because, you know, fasting, detoxing, stopping eating bread, starches, no carbs. Because all of that white food goes into the body, turns into sugar. And that sugar in your brain, it makes you dumb. It shuts down your consciousness. So if anybody like bread, anybody like sugar, anybody like fried foods, their brain is not working as optimal as it should be. And we got to fixate and focus on our brain because our brain can produce anything we tell our brain to produce. Because that is the simulation. Whatever you're experiencing, your brain is telling you to produce it. Your brain is telling you to produce whatever it is that you are experiencing. So therefore, this is why it's very important to understand some application and apply time and energy. Let's talk about some books, or not even books, but movies that lay out the simulation. Books that have just showed up to me. The 13th Floor. I seen that the other day. That's a real good movie. Um, Especially, that's so funny. We was talking about this yesterday. The simulacrum. I don't know how to pronounce it exactly. But like the by the time that we look at this world and we go to work every day and we go into school and we putting on makeup and we trying to buy outfits, I'm telling you, this world is a false world. The real world that you absolutely experience is the world that you go to when you fall asleep. That is a world and a paradigm. And I want to ask a question. Do you ever be concerned about how much money you have in your dream world? Do you ever be concerned about what you wear, how you look when you in the dream world? Or are you immersed in a simulation or a world or a landscape that is all encompassing, all responsive to your thoughts? You can go from one world to another world. See, when we are understanding ourselves to be spiritual beings, then our perception of what we can actually see and know is different. We can absolutely fly and go from dimension to dimension, create, like, we can't even wear clothes. How can you put clothes on a spiritual being? But see, when we then wake up into this reality and we imagine that like, we have to figure out how to break down this reality and break through it. That is why at the end of the Truman Show, what does he do? Does he just stay in the world, or does he break down and break through the world? So a good movie to watch, 13th Floor. The movie that I watched last night that was pretty good. It was on YouTube for free. Was Source Code. Source Code, the 13th Floor, of course, The Matrix. But I think the 13th Floor is better than The Matrix. As far as these understanding the facts that we do live in a simulation. And I've been dealing with this for a very, very long time, man. I realized that the book that I put out, Spiritual Being Having a Human Experience, was more of prepping people for them to, live in this particular simulation by adapting spiritual principles, activating their chakras, understanding their chart, and then directing their lives based upon the life that they absolutely want to live is not what you should do. It's very paramount because it's nobody else in the world but you. When you have consciousness, it's not that your family have consciousness. It's not even that your kids have consciousness. Hell, sometimes your girlfriend or your boyfriend don't even have consciousness. You and this bitch all alone. You lucky if your wife or your husband got consciousness. After that, it ain't nobody else that's conscious. As much as you talk spiritual stuff with them, they're never going to get it. You know why? You know why they're never going to get it? It is because this is more about you self actualizing and understanding you are not going to be in this lifetime forever. But your ability to understand who you are at a spiritual being side is so very important for your eternity. The things that you're going to be experiencing through the modality of self awakening is going to reverberate past lives and future lives. It's not about how much money you make and all of these particular things, because yeah, nobody wants to be poor, but it's what you going to do once you become rich is the question. What's your exit strategy? What's your exit plan? How you going to enjoy your money? Because it's only so many threesomes on a balcony that you can have. At a certain point, you're going to have to think about it at a space like, what's the purpose of life? And even deeper, I say people that become so rich, they do so through spiritual means. They understand how it is to how to get spiritual assistance, or how to be so focused, how to be so aligned, how to be so in control of themselves that they just understand that at a spiritual level, I know more, or I'm guided at a certain type of way, that this is the thing that I should be doing. And it's different than having, this is the thing that I should be doing, and it don't never shake for you. You know how many times people say, oh, I'm gonna start an online business, I'm gonna do this, and it don't necessarily shake. Not shake like they would like it to shake. You can make any decision in this world that you fucking want to. If it's not successful, shit, it might not be the thing that you should be doing. This is why it's very important to have the proper application. These times that we are going into are so fundamental to the future, to the golden age, to understanding that, oh shit, life ain't what I thought it was. Life is completely different from what I thought I was. The things that I said I would never do, the things that I thought I would never say, the places that I thought I would never go, is all at the blink of an eye, the snap of a finger. But it's all about how much spiritual power are you specifically working with. You might be looking at another person's computer like, damn, this person is doing that, doing this, doing that. I wish I could do this and do that and do this. How do they do it? And I'm going to tell you, looking at people, being jealous of people, hating on people, like, that's going to be so normal. Like, as soon as you figure it out for yourself, be prepared for people to hate you. As soon as you want to be positive, or you could be on the side where you looking at people and you just mad at everybody. You mad at this person, you mad at that person, you mad at this person, you mad at that person. Listen, this is universal shadow work time. Because you ain't going to get nowhere in this life without people like hating on you at some certain level. And even if you told them the absolute blueprint, if they not really ready to do the spiritual work, a lot of people be non-playable characters, NPCs. Like even if you telling them to do something, they programming is for them to crash out in 5 years. So part of 2025, I hope y'all understand and understand you ain't going to be able to help everybody. You shouldn't make your brand helping people that don't want to be helped, especially if you need help yourself. Why not activate yourself? Why not balance yourself? Why not spend more time out in nature? Why not program this reality the way that you want to program this reality?
Content is only generated or rendered when there is a conscious observer, i.e. player. I just want to note, conscious observer doesn't mean human beings, and it doesn't mean visibly looking with your eyes. Now they lay out there's two views that you have to integrate when it comes to quantum physics and reality, digital reality. One, that the universe itself is a computer. Two, that reality is virtual, but it is distinct from the systems operating the simulation. The focus of the paper was the second view. In the paper, they explore what causes the collapse of a wave function, like the very famous, very controversial experiment, the double slit experiment, where photons were expected to have a clumping pattern, but they showed.
So one of the ways that you know you live in a simulation is through the scientific study of the double slit experiment, which basically I've been studying this shit for so long, and sometimes I think I grasp it, and then life shows me, especially with this particular consciousness that I've been dealing with now, I didn't really even understand it. I understand it now, where basically light and matter exhibit different behaviors depending on if you're watching it. In modern physics, the double slit experiment demonstrates that light and matter can exhibit behavior of both classical particles and classical waves. This type of experiment was first performed by Thomas Young in 1801 as a demonstration of the wave behavior of visible light. In 1927, Davison, and Germer, and independently George Paget Thompson and his research student Alexander Reed demonstrated that electrons showed the same behavior, which was later extended to atoms and molecules. Right? So all matter is from the atomic level, from the smallest level, act the same way. How do they act? Thomas Young's experiment with light was part of classical physics long before the development of quantum mechanics and the concept of wave particle duality. He believed it demonstrated the Christian Hughes wave theory of light was correct, and his experiment is sometimes referred to as Young's experiment or Young's slits. The experiment belongs to a general class of double path experiments in which a wave is split into two separate waves that later combine into a single wave. Changes in the path lengths of both waves result in a phase shift, creating an interference pattern. So, the basic understanding of this experiment is when you observe light, it is a particle. When you don't observe light, it is a wave. It is potential. Like the way to explain it, the intersection down the street, you visually imagine what it looked like, but it's not really there until you get in your car and drive down the street. And what was once a wave becomes an actual thing. And when we use these devices and you have your phone algorithm, which is a mathematical equation, is only going to give you what it is programming you to do based upon what you can specifically observe. So certain concepts and aspects that you think about, the powers that were or the powers that be want you to think about things in a certain type of way so you can create this reality for yourself or for others a lot of time. It could be something so simple as, man, it's fucked up out here. It don't really have to be fucked up out here, but your ability to think that it's fucked up out here would be the thing that creates the reality. So what I have been thinking about is, especially since like studying Saint Germain, like the world being this utopia or perfect society. And with certain inventions, certain ways that the world is looking, that's probable. It might not be in my lifetime, but the way that the world is shifting, the world is shifting in a way that it's getting worse on some levels, but on some levels it's getting better. And it's basically, if you wish to have an attention to growth and development, Dang. Hopefully, hopefully, one's in the chat if y'all can hear me okay. I don't even know what the hell that was about. One's in the chat if y'all can hear me okay. Oh, my Wi-Fi had went down, but I like reconnected to like I'm on my neighbor's Wi-Fi right now, so we'll figure that out at some point. I imagine. Sure. So what we're just going to do is do a real quick breakdown of the simulation to break through the simulation. So what is the simulation? The simulation represents the constructs or illusions we live by, whether societal conditioning, your limiting beliefs, your scarcity mindsets, and your habitual patterns. The false reality is created by your parents who don't know that they're living in a false reality. They're doing the best that they can. Even if they put you in the best schools, they have money, you probably living at their house right now. They love you. You know what I'm saying? That is nothing to do with you as a spiritual being. That have everything to do with your societal conditioning, your limited beliefs, your scarcity mindsets. If your mom ever said, "We don't got McDonald's money," put a one in the chat. We don't got McDonald's money, so we not getting you no McDonald's. Now, I promise you when I say this, until you do the financial shadow work on how you was raised, you probably are living the same way, doing the same things, because that is a simulation. That is just what you're used to. It is your pattern, your mindset, your belief, your conditioning. Very powerful stuff. And if you do not reverse it, if you do not hijack it, then it is in full control. And it's super frustrating to just know that you can change your life, but you're not even trying to change your life because you cool with the false self. The simulation is the mental, emotional, financial matrix that keeps you trapped in repetitive loops. So this is another way that you can be spiritual and still be a part of the simulation. Because if I'm deeply spiritual, then I'm trying to help you help yourself. If I'm false spiritual, I'm just trying to be the person that help you. But actually helping you is too much for any other person to do, any corporation, any entity to do. Because when you talk about an entity, a corporation, or a person, they have their own shit to take care of. So whenever you are not doing, sometimes people get into relationships. One's in the chat. If you ever heard a person say, "I'm tired. This relationship is draining me. This relationship is tired. Having these kids is draining me. I'm tired from these kids." One's in the chat. If you ever heard somebody say that. That's because the reason that you hear people say that is because these things are very difficult. This is why it's essential to have a strong mental and emotional foundation whenever you dealing with something challenging, like a business, a relationship, a child. These things are going to tax you. So if you're not doing any mental work, any emotional work, you're not doing any financial work, and you're just getting into these things, this is why, once in the chat, if you ever heard the term generational curse, this is where it comes from. It comes from people not doing shadow work and then getting into situations, relationships. Once in the chat, if you don't need to do shadow work to get into a relationship, especially if you look halfway decent, your meat is a decent size, you got a decent amount of money, you don't have to do shadow work, but you get into these situations, you have these kids, and these things start happening over and over and over and over again. These are loops. This is the simulation. The simulation to me is very clear. As soon as a girl like you can get it now. That wasn't a part of the simulation. It was a part of the simulation that you had to court a woman and you had to really get involved and be a certain type of man to even qualify for a wife. That was a part of the simulation. But now the simulation is, if I like you, you can get this. But I still want to get married on the back end. You would have to mold the simulation to nature and then justify the simulation as a means to say, this is what you should be doing because it's going to assist you emotionally, psychologically, mentally, financially, long term. And a lot of these things, when you trying to break down the simulation, if you're not a hard worker, then you'll never break out of the simulation, because you're not, like, when you are faced with challenges, you get angry, you break down, you go to spiritual people for help. You don't understand mental toughness, a mental emotional intelligence. You start yelling, you get mad, and when you in the simulation is the simulation. The simulation has produced children with attention deficit disorder. That's what the simulation has produced. Because if the simulation was having children cultivate land, masses of children cultivating land, being in nature, knowing how to climb trees and be one with animals, the simulation wouldn't breed children with ADHD. But you put children in a natural environment and expect them, you give children screens. That's a simulation. That's literally. And so when we are trying to understand the simulation, and you say hood, you say it's a mathematical equation, I don't get it. The mathematical equation has something to do with the way that your occipital lobe receives information. So if I can perfect this mathematical equation, I can get your attention. Because the mathematical equation consists of a 3D environment that is sensibly attractive to the user. So if you're in a relationship, one's in the chat, if your timeline is way different from your partner's timeline, aesthetically, colors wise, I want you to one day take your man's timeline and your girl's timeline and just scroll on Instagram. You're gonna see different colors, and those colors are a mathematical frequency. The mathematical equation for your teenage son is Call of Duty. That video game is all math. If the programmers don't know math, if the artificial intelligence don't know math, they can't create a game. And this mathematical equation creates a reality within their mind, within their imagination. So in essence, they're not in a real reality. But to them, it feels like a real reality because of the equation. This is why it's so important to just get out the house every day and engage in the world in some way, even if you can, because you're forcing your brain to upgrade. If your brain gets so atrophied and so weak when you sit in front of a video game all day, because it's so detailed and it's so many mathematical equations. When you're done playing that game, you're tired. You want to go to sleep. You want to eat. You want to have sex. You want to do something that doesn't require you to think. So I'm not saying that you shouldn't play games, but you should never play games before you have work to do. Because if you are going to play that game, you are now your brain, because nothing is real. Okay? The only thing that is real is the thing that your brain produces. And if your brain is sitting in front of a screen and is watching a video game, it is telling it to produce images. And so your brain has to produce these images so you can see it in a video game. How do you know that this is real? Your kid's playing Roblox right now. Ask them what you like. Tell me about the game. One's in the chat if you don't know what the fuck your kid is even fucking talking about. You can't even fathom what your kid is talking about. I don't even have a reference point. I don't even have a foundational concept of what the fuck Roblox is. When I say I don't get it, I don't get it. But it doesn't matter. The mathematical equation, it speaks directly to a child's brain and the things that it's about to do and how it moves and how it sees and the things that it produces. It will hold your child's attention all day if you let it. But then if you want to teach your child mathematics, it's going to tell you to kick his, kiss my ass, dad. You know what I'm saying? Every day. I don't want to learn this math. Well, you want to play Roblox? Sure. So how do you break down the simulation? You identify the applications or the programs that's running in your mind. What is this? What does this sound like? This sounds like, I don't know how I'm going to pay the bills. Right? I don't know. I don't think I'm going to make it. I don't think this is working out for me. I'm afraid. I don't know how I'm going to make it. Man, I wish I didn't. Man, I wish I could. If only I could. I really wish this would happen for me. I'm really hoping that this would happen for me. Man, I wish I'd never got into this relationship with this nigga. I can't believe that this is my goddamn baby daddy. If your mindset is that this year you taking whatever amount of money that you got, whatever type of motion that you got, and say, I'm going to increase my income 50%, then that is what you're going to be on. I'm telling anybody that come in contact with me, I've been on Instagram for a while. I got close to 10,000 subscribers, 10,000 followers. I'm turning 10K into 100K. And it's very important for me to do this video because I've been supposed to have been doing this video, but I'm doing it now because I said I was going to do it. But it's very important to me to get my schedule, plan with my wife, get everything that we're about to do moving forward, and just act. Because this year I've taught me it don't matter as long as you act, you will get rewarded. If I'm trying to, man, I spent so much time in 2023 and 2024 trying to make it right with niggas, trying to be understood by niggas, trying to bring peace to niggas. And at a certain point, spirit's gonna tell me you can't. Okay, what now? You know what I'm saying? Set your price, live your life. And it's like, man, I wanna be so big. I wanna grow so much. I wanna live the life that I wanna live so much. And the disrespect that I feel when a motherfucker is arguing with me or feeling a certain type of way, it's like I wanna grow so much. I wanna take care of everybody so bad that you gonna really regret, you know what I'm saying, trying to be on my bad side. I want it. You feel me? So I will create a target, and I'll say I'm going from 10K to 100K on Instagram, and it's not really just subscribers because I know it all correlates into different mathematical functions anyway. But I'm just using that as a standard. Cause I'm not just gonna be like, all right, I'm on Instagram. No, I got a whole program in a way that I want to approach this shit. And I've been sitting back like, damn, how do I even communicate these ideas to people? And it's like I'm not gonna even twist niggas' hands. If I open some shit up and one nigga show up, it's cool. We on the road to 100K. We on the road to 100K. So the work is in her. What is your plans? What is your target? What is it that what is the thing that you want to do? It don't matter what's going on with nobody else because this shit is not real. Cause you will be trying to, these people will have you kissing ass and you like my lips is chapped. They keep kissing it. I don't care. And you be like, mama, why you got me kissing your ass like this? I thought you were supposed to help me. You just want me to kiss your ass. And it's like, listen, there is nothing other than your ability to understand who you are at a spiritual level. That is the most profound shit in the world. And that the more you study the greats, the Bobby Hemmitts, the Brother Panics, the Tracy Twymans, the Michael Talbots, they've been saying this shit all along. It's just now because we are in so much entropy, we are in so much disorder that you can be trying to cling to a shard of glass flying through the nether worlds, or you can just simply ground yourself and understand that this is a simulation. If you break a piece, like it's you will see people just take their life and just break it. And you like, what the fuck? Why is this person doing it? And it's like just for you to see that this shit is not real. It might be everybody around you and you like going crazy. I say still ground. I say still do chakra work. If these niggas don't want to find peace within themselves, you is not going to be the person that brings peace to them. It's what this is going to do is this is going to drive you crazy. It's going to destroy your peace. So in the midst of this world, in this world, it's this thing called cooking with Kaya, and people are losing their shit about cooking with Kaya, and they're mad at cooking with Kaya. They're mad at Travis Hunter. They're mad at Corey Holcomb. They just mad at everybody. And I'm like, this world needs shadow work. Like I said, I was watching this video on YouTube, but it was a bunch like a TikToks, like back to back to back. And it was all of these women that hated their husbands. And I'm just like, nobody have really introduced shadow work to them. Because if you, like, I understand you hate that nigga. I get it. But let's still talk about shadow work. It'd be shit like, yeah, I haven't worked. I'm a stay-at-home mom. But that's still not enough. Yeah, I work and I got to contribute finances. And I hate that I got to work. It's like, how is y'all going to just have, it's just like the work that happens on the inside is so profound because you cannot, like, you mad at non-playable characters. Like, it's a certain level of witchcraft and sorcery that either a person, you could just make a person no longer exist, like steal their soul out their body, or they'll start serving you. Whatever happened to doing a honey jar? Where my old school spiritual community girls at? Remember them honey jars to make a nigga treat you sweet or something? Like, start doing the positive magic. But ultimately, you have to crush the simulation. You have to destroy the simulation in order to break through it. The part that's been confusing is that people have been trying to tightrope in the realms of being accepted by non-playable characters and not identifying non-playable characters. You could tell somebody right now how bad you got it, and they'll just look at you with the blank face. One's in the chat. You ever opened up your heart to a motherfucker and they just be looking at you? And you be like, you ain't gonna say nothing? And they'd be like, but you ain't gonna say nothing? Like, I was just talking. Like, well, I didn't hear you. Can you repeat it? And you're like, man, never mind. I know the feeling that you need help, but it's also a reality called mathematical computations known as the soul, known as answers. So when you study in Michael Talbot's work, they talk a lot about memory. And I'm thinking about it, and then I start to think, oh, the mice, so they got these mice and they take away different parts of their brain, and the mice still know how to move through the maze with different parts of their brain. So they come up with the law of mass action that says that memory is not stored locally, it's stored in a sense of equally. So the same memory in your toe is going to be the same memory in your brain. So with all of this being said, this even goes deeper to who you are as a spiritual being. That memory of who you are as a spiritual being, lifetime after lifetime after lifetime, you have stored mathematical equations that can get you out of any type of situation, but you have to be able to tap into that way of looking at life. It's a part of your being that just answers questions, that just provides solutions, that just directs you, that just guides you. And it's very clear, it's very nonsensical, because ultimately, when you're dealing with your brain is a holograph that's more or less connected to a computer or a larger frame of reference. So you can program your brain to produce things that you want it to produce. But the programming of the brain, you have to be repetitious. It's more of reprogramming, factory reset. So I would say ritual, a ritual with psychedelics. If you don't want to do psychedelics, a ritual with deep meditation, but really organizing the ritual. If you have a partner and y'all in a relationship, y'all got to do the ritual together. You got to tell them about the ritual. All right, we reprogramming our reality so we can be a wealthy couple. And we're going to do this ritual, and we're going to clear out our subconscious. We're going to clear out our conscious. And from this moment, we're only going to be guided and led towards things that's going to turn us into the next version of Jay-Z and Beyonce. And you like, that's funny, ha ha ha. But why in the hell was Jay-Z and Beyonce in Cuba doing rituals and your ass at the club shaking your ass to Juvenile? Girl, you look good. Won't you back that ass up? Right? But they was in goddamn Cuba doing some Santeria. So all of this to be said, starting off with a ritual, then a schedule, like intention, action, behavior. And you will, it's not about reprogramming the matrix. It's about reprogramming yourself. Because as long as you reprogram yourself, the matrix will respond differently to you. When you reprogram yourself, you will reprogram the matrix because your brain is a hologram. It's only going to create the world that you tell it to create at a subconscious, unconscious level. So if you said, good, this is some great information, I'm going to start talking to my subconscious mind today. Hood, you know how many niggas will deal with me on a spiritual level, but nothing really changes in their life? Because you have to do the ritual. You have to do the factory reset. And you know how many people that don't even listen to videos, but take psychedelics and I never hear from their ass ever again? And I might see them a year or two from me, how you been doing, bro? Shit, changed my life. I done seen rappers have successful music careers, but when I seen them down and out, you know what I'm saying? They want to come back, but they ain't really ready. You know what I'm saying, take some shrooms. Now they back popping again. They back on the mission. They back on the road with it because they back focused. They did the factory reset. And sometimes people will be like, man, I took some shrooms. I didn't see fucking laser bolts flying out my ass. I didn't really like it. And I would say, you taking it for the wrong reasons. I take it to factory reset. I take it to let go. I take it to purify. I take it to purge. You know what I'm saying? I take it for rituals, things of that nature. So once again, if I'm trying to reprogram the simulation, I'm trying to figure out my codes. And through figuring out my codes, I'm doing initiation. I'm having a rigorous plan. I'm doing deep shadow work, and I'm not projecting. I'm not blaming nobody. I'm not hoping for nobody to save me. I'm trusting in this process, this magical process and realignment process. And I'm becoming a different person in real life. I'm destroying who I was and becoming who I actually am. So from there, you're going to break down the simulation, and then you want to break through the simulation. How do you do that? Clarity and truth. When you break it down the simulation, you cannot deal with the illusions. You have to go, like I said, deep meditation or psychedelics. And I'm not saying one is better than the other. I'm just saying you have to get out of the senses, because the brain is not even real, and you got thoughts and emotions aligned with your brain, and it is not even going to do nothing but have you crashing out. It's nothing in your brain that's worth having. It's like saying you got a computer and you've been just saving shit on your computer, and even if you had something on there, a picture of you and Michael Jackson, when you purge your computer, it's just going to run better. You don't have the picture no more. You don't have the old applications, but you still got the computer. So if you need it, just re-download it again. And if it's lost, it's just gone. You just lost it. It doesn't matter though. Illusion is illusion is illusion. Truth comes from clarity, and it's a space within your mind. I'm telling you, learning how to relax, getting out of your brain, getting out of your conscious mind, and having the dreams. This is why dream journaling is profound, because it's giving you access to the world that is real. The world that you go to every night is a real world. The same way you wake up and go to 7-Eleven and get a Slurpee, that's a false world. God wouldn't create a world that you could go get a Slurpee from. Not a Slurpee with sugar that's going to destroy your body. This whole world is false. It's too much bullshit on it. So once again, connecting to your higher self. This is a spiritual thing. As much as I'm talking about mathematics, and it's not a different conversation, it's the same conversation I've already been having. It's just a very succinct, clear view. This world isn't real, so you have to get up on your spiritual shit. I don't know what else to tell you. You have to begin to understand this stuff and break this stuff down. No longer can you have y'all got books on your bookshelf that y'all don't understand. One's in the chat. Like I ain't got shit to do, hood. It's just boring for real. I'm just kind of just chilling. You got books on your bookshelf you don't even know for real. You need to get a notebook and start breaking that shit down. Like getting to the point where you start to see, like you can learn. Like learning makes a better decision maker. The more you learn, the better you will make decisions. The more you study, the more you resonate with what you study, the more your higher self is activating. Look at your screen time. My screen time this week was 19 minutes. My screen time for the whole week was 19 minutes. Use that phone for what you need to use it for. Cut the notifications off. You shouldn't have a fucking device in your phone that's beeping every fucking minute. Every fucking minute, this shit is beeping. It's not that important. Like it don't matter what nobody is going through right now. You have to really find peace. The times that you spend in scrolling, you are destroying your peace. Freedom and flow. Without the constraints of the simulation, new levels. Let me switch that back. New levels of financial, emotional, and spiritual freedom. You are no longer reacting to things, but responding to things consciously. This conversation that I've been having with y'all is a result of seeing how it's like playing in the dirt, and the dirt is playing with you back. That's what this world is. When you are able to, I know it's just like, well, hood, I'm not a mathematician. I don't know math. I don't know trigonometry. And it's like, imagine that you do. Imagine that you are Pythagoras reincarnated. In any computation placed before you, you can answer it. And imagine that your destiny is not a result of emotional desire, but mathematical computation. You will start to see that it will be much easier for you to get to point A to point B, the same way as you will see that it's easier for you to drive down the street in your car versus saying, damn, I really wish I can drive down the street. God, please help me drive down the street. Please, God, I want to drive down the street. What is a mathematical function is the engineering that created your vehicle. What is a mathematical function is the engineering that have created the cherubim or the soul or the chariot, which is a vehicle that, or the Merkaba. All of these particular spiritual vehicles or vessels are mathematical functions that are already encoded within your DNA. To which, if you learn how to get out of the brain, you get out of the emotional sense. And therefore, when people are talking to you with rhetoric, you are able to notice it. I'm not talking to you with rhetoric. I'm not trying to entertain you. I'm literally trying to save niggas' lives. You might not like what I'm saying or how I'm saying it or how I look or all of this particular stuff, but at a certain point, I don't give a fuck. I can't do it. I can't do all of that at the same time. I am like a college professor. When you go to college and you sit down in front of a professor, it is not his job to help you get an A. He could care less if you go into his class and you don't like his style. He will lecture for an hour and a half with no reading materials, no nothing. He just standing there talking to your ass. And the next time you come in there, he will have an exam for your ass based off of his lecture. And if you don't pass it because you didn't like him, you're going to have to withdraw out of that class. He is not going to mold his teaching style to what you like and what you don't like. He's already a professor. So what I'm trying to say to people is that this is not spiritual rhetoric. Rhetoric is a way of talking to you to make you feel good. I don't have that to do. Because if you don't fucking feel good, listening to this channel is not the channel that you listen to make you feel better, to switch your modality. This is the channel that you want to really get a sense of what's happening in the spiritual world in a real-time sense. What you will notice is that people will talk about the simulation more and more and more and more and more and more because that's what it is. A simulation means that this is a false world. So what you won't do is start to examine the facts of you acquiescing to the simulation, as opposed to understanding that you need to figure out how to manipulate the code, manipulate yourself, and raise yourself up to a certain type of level. And you might feel like, well, how do I raise myself up to this level? You need wisdom. And what do I mean by wisdom? I'm going to explain. Let me pull up my media. Here's a key principle of wisdom. Illusion operates throughout the personality, pervading the mental body as false beliefs. Illusion operates throughout the emotional body as glamour, throughout the vital body as Maya. When you understand this principle, this implies deeply distrusting all reactions of the personality to life and circumstance. Because illusion cannot even be recognized as illusion without the illumination of the soul. What this paragraph or what this phrase actually means is that you will not even recognize the simulation for what it is because you have not done any spiritual work. But so because you recognize skin and bones, because you have emotions, because you have thoughts, then it must be real. And when you go to places, they cater to this illusion by speaking to things that you might be thinking about, speaking to things that you might be feeling. But if you're thinking about something and feeling something and it's not real, and I speak to it, it doesn't make it realer. Because an illusion is always going to be an illusion. But if you do not understand the endocrine system, such as your chakras, such as your spiritual ability to raise Kundalini, what this means in your actual life, do you really meditate? Do you really get outside of the body? Like, do you really get outside of the body? Do you really, are you telling me that you sitting here on TikTok, on Instagram, you on these goddamn social media sites all day? You telling me you haven't meditated? You telling me you haven't found no peace within yourself? But you spiritual all at the same time? You have no peace within yourself. You have no relationship with your soul. You sitting here judging yourself on if you got enough money, if you can pay your bills, if you can do this, if you can do that, if you can go here, go there, go everywhere, go to this dinner. You in the fucking matrix. Talking about you need to get your spiritual life right. You can't, you have to begin to see it as not real. You have to get off work and be driving your car and it hit you like, oh shit. Everything happening around me is not even real. Or take a left, pull into a parking lot and walk into a building that you don't normally walk into. See how strange it is. One's in the chat if you go to the store you feel more comfortable going to than going to a random store. One's in the chat if that's you. And be sure to like the video if you like it. One's in the chat if you got a routine for the most part. One's in the chat if you take the normal way home that you normally take. One's in the chat if you live in Detroit and you just don't be going to any random liquor store. You go to the one that you trust. So when you go into that liquor store, you see what? The person that you normally know. You like, hey, Jack. They like, hey, Charmaine, what you getting, the regular? Yep, give me the regular. Now, what was to happen if you was to go to another store? You will start to see that it's a whole different CIA agent, right? It's a whole different person that got to build up a relationship with you. What if you had 7 different stores that you started to go to all at the same time? Now you're stretching the matrix out. See, the matrix is it has a finite resource of energy, and these energies animate people. This is why when you be driving and you see cars, you don't really see people in the cars. One's in the chat. You don't really see the nigga that's in the car. Like the nigga don't stop, get out the car and say, hi, my name is Terrence. I'm coming from point A and I'm going to point B. It's just cars driving around. This is the simulation. You don't really knock on the doors and go through each and every apartment building now, do you? You don't be knocking through the doors and going to each and every house and seeing every family in every house now, do you? This is part of the simulation. Because if for some reason you had a job or you had a responsibility where you started to go to different people's houses, that's when you will start to be doing real life magic. Because now you is expanding a world. It's like a video game. When you play in a video game, it's certain places that you can't really interact with. Because if you was to interact with them, that means that the game have to produce more shit. And at a certain point, it'd be like, all right, they have a certain limit. You can't walk into every house, and every house ain't detailed. All of these things that you begin to see, these begins to add to your memory. So the best thing that the powers that be did to shut us down was to give us these computers. What do you know about life if you're a millennial? That is an absolute fact. When you was a little kid, you was outside playing with your friends. In certain neighborhoods, I know in certain neighborhoods where kids still go outside and play, but for the most part, these kids nowadays don't go outside and play. And it's a reason that they don't go outside and play because they got the tablets, they either got phones, or they got the TV, or they got the laptop. To whereas now the worlds that are being created in the minds of children are digital worlds. So when you talk to them about reality, they are not in touch. They thinking some real crazy weird shit that don't have nothing to do with reality, because what they've been fed about what life is like, it's not really what life is like. And we know that because we was out in these streets with no cell phone, just free. Like, you know what I'm saying? Make sure you home by the time that the fucking street lights come on. When I left the house first thing in the morning and didn't come back home till 7 o'clock, my mom had no idea where my black ass was at. Not the slightest of a clue. It wasn't nothing she could do either. When your kid is going for more than an hour, you probably have a panic attack. What I'm saying is that this reality that we're living in have been slowly hijacked. So I hope that your kids do not have an exorbitant amount of screen time. I hope that your kids will spend time out in nature, hiking, playing basketball, football, soccer, baseball, you know, falling on the ground, getting dirty, you know what I'm saying? Things of that nature, so they can begin to have a fundamental reality of what's happening around them. Because the trouble is trying to teach or trying to impart wisdom into a mind that has been force fed illusionary concepts based upon mathematical probabilities that don't even exist in the real world. That's what Roblox is. That's what Call of Duty is. That's what Fortnite is. It is a probability of some form of physics that resonate with a child, resonate with his imagination, and if they are given it a long enough time, it becomes a foundational reality. So what do I mean by a foundational reality? Soon as the boy get home from school, he drop his book bag down in the front of the house and go straight to his room, and he cut on a video game. One's in the chat. He don't say hi, mama. He don't say how was your day. He goes straight to the video game and throw on the headsets, and he's talking to people. He's talking to people. Who is he talking to? He's talking to mathematical probabilities of people. He's watching the screen of mathematical probabilities of physics. This really excites him because this has now become his reality. It's certain children that never grow out of this. So now you dating a man that's 26. And it's cool when you dating him, but then when you start to live with him, soon as he get off of work, his jacket is, he don't even hang up his jacket. It's, as soon as you walk in the apartment, it's the hooks where you hang the jackets up at. Why his shit on the floor? You like, where the hell Terrence at? Terrence on there with the headset talking to the bros. Like, ball up top. One's in the chat. Ball up top. On the game all day. Locked in. Because that is a foundational reality. Because that reality is created off of mathematical principles. So I say this to y'all as I'm about to get off of this live. I'm telling y'all how I'm giving it up. I'm telling y'all how I'm about to move because that's just how it is. You know what I'm saying? There is no only thing that can hold me back is myself. And when I say that, I'm saying like all the work that I've done, I haven't done the work specifically so I can get credit. I've done the work so when I'm talking about things online, I can bring people back to a reference point. And so, with all that being said, I'm just going to attempt to expand my content and level up my content and really help people understand the simulation within themselves and break old patterns, break old curses, do some cool spells, do some high level magic, and change the world. Because I could tell y'all shit about the reality, about the simulation that just don't even make sense. You know what I'm saying? Like Cooking with Kaya is a viral sensation that everybody talking about, but that's also the name of my LLC. I was born August the 23rd, the girl 23. Not only is Kaya her name and the name of my business, but when you put me and my wife's name together, that's KYA, who I'm starting a business with. So it's like just being able to like understand that level of simulation in gematria. I put out a book called Blue Magic, right? And I have money invested in XRP. All my investments is in XRP. But I put out a book called Blue Magic. So I do spirit say, look up the gematria. I'll just do that with y'all before I get out of here. Much love to the tribe, man. I just can show y'all better than I can tell y'all. Because I'm telling y'all, this crypto stuff is either a scam or you need to invest. I don't know, man. I don't know. I think it's something that we should invest in though, but it might be a scam. So that is not financial advice. The markets do go up and down, but I'm more of a person that's like, let's let's just be patient with this stuff. XRP. And blue. So at first glance, so at first glance, it doesn't look like blue and XRP are the same. But when you look at the ordinal, it's 40 and 58. When you add 58, you get 13. And when you add 1 plus 3, you get 4. So when you reduce each of these numbers down, they equal the same. So 4 plus 0 is 4. 5 plus 8 is 13. 1 plus 3 is 4. When you do the reduction, 1 plus 3 is 4. 2 plus 2 is 4. When you do the reverse, 6 plus 8 is 14. 1 plus 4 is 5. 2 plus 3 is 5. When you do the reverse reduction, you get 2 plus 3 is 5. 1 plus 4 is 5. So I didn't know when I put the book out. Like my thing is every birthday, I just try to put out a book. So in the book that I've been studying financial magic and stuff like that for over 2 to 3 years. And it's been a book that I really wanted to put out for a while. So I just decided to put it out. Lo and behold, in real life, the investments that I actually had really came through. Like I could cash out right now at XRP. I'm just not. I'm trying to hold on to XRP for 10 more years. I feel like XRP will go to $20. I'm still investing. I'm still thinking about the long term, but I'm just giving y'all a explanation of, just how the simulation will specifically talk back to you. Now, and I don't think that I'm just so special. That's why I say talk back to you. I'm giving you anecdotal um realities in reference to how I deal with the simulation, but I'm so for real when I say that, the better that I get at it, the more I'll be able to show. And that's why I have a YouTube channel. That's why I'm doing everything that I'm doing, is to show people that this world is very simple, right? It's not as hard as we make it, but we have to really do the spiritual work. So be sure to follow me on IG, because that's where I'm gonna do a lot of my growth. Like, I like YouTube. I'm gonna still post videos on YouTube for sure. But my 2025 challenge is to really grow on IG. And I'm gonna still post videos on YouTube, best believe that. But I'm just saying, make sure to follow me on Instagram. Um, if you want to just find, like, because some people not gonna want to tap into the Patreon or watch the shows. Some people just want some easy content. And if you want easy, free spiritual content, join my Instagram. But for my Patreon subscribers, we locked and loaded. It's gonna be a lot of, I'm not gonna really explain it all the way. I'm gonna save that for a future video once I get it down pat. But join the Patreon, join the Substack, follow me on Instagram, um, but more or less study this shit on your own. Um, Break down the matrix to break through the matrix. Break down the simulation to break through the simulation, man. It's really going down. And we'll catch you all on the flip side. Much love to all those who supported me and, helped me through this, through all of this stuff, being on YouTube and trying to grow and doing all this type of stuff. It's not easy, but people support you and make it easier. And I just want to say thank you to those people. And if you are one of those people, I really do appreciate you, because you don't have to watch these videos, you don't have to engage, you don't have to give me no watch time. You could be doing a million and billion other things. So, I mean, I'm just a person that recognizes that and appreciates that, and I value that, because without it, it's a lot of things that even wouldn't happen for me. So, with all that being said, I hope y'all enjoy y'all day. Stay tuned for more videos from me, the initiates, as we break down the simulation to break through it. With all this being said, man, y'all have a wonderful, wonderful day, and I will catch y'all on the flip side, man. Peace.